Afternoon all. Let's have a look at another Nezhmetdinov game, this time against Kotkov, Yuri Kotkov, 1957 tournament. So he kicked off with e4. His opponent played the Spanish game, and we have the Berlin defense, the dreaded knight f6 instead of a6, and we have knight takes e4, so that knight's coming to d6 now. Okay, so decision time. Nezhmetdinov actually takes on e5 with his knight. After bishop e7, he puts his bishop in front of the d pawn. Interesting decision. So how is this bishop going to get developed, you might ask. Well, actually b3 and bishop b2 later, or bishop a3 are possibilities which are used up here to sort out this d pawn problem. So he's still got a piece pointing at the black king. Okay, he plays knight c3 now, and after knight takes, rook takes, bishop f6. Black's fairly solid. The only entry point, it seems at the moment, into the black position is this e file. So rook e3 keeps the possibility of doubling rooks later, if that ever emerges. So there'll be pressure on e8, contesting e7 maybe. Entry points which can do damage. Alright, black plays g6, maybe subtly weakening the dark squares here. Queen f3, putting a bit of mild pressure on black, but otherwise black's position here after bishop g7 looks remarkably solid. How can black be broken down here? Well, there's a move b3 now. Okay, a knight retreat, a bit passive maybe. Bishop a3, and white actually stands better here. White's significantly better, I would say, after d6, rook a1. He's achieved a lot from this opening. He's got nice possession of the e file. He's got potential entry point e7. Black plays knight f6. So does it seem solid? That's the question. There's also potentially knight g4 to e5, or bishop g4 is to handle. So h3 is thrown in here. Prophylaxis move. Now there's knight d7, as if the knight might come to e5. Okay, but the problem is that e7 square at the moment, which is emphasized with knight d5. Also here, what's if c6, knight e7 check, there's bishop takes d6. So black actually weakened his king position quite considerably now with this next move. It's difficult to suggest a good move for black here. If b6, there's going to be knight f6, just winning the exchange. And if c6, there's knight e7. So how does black actually untangle from this position? You know, it's been misplayed, I think, by black, that very solid opening, to have this. The other question to ask is knight e5. Is there a problem with knight e5? Here is a variation which demonstrates that knight e5 is not possible with bishop e5, because if rook takes, bishop takes, there's the crushing rook takes e5 here, not to win back the exchange, but after this, in this position, to win the queen with bishop e7. So if the queen moves to d7 or e8, then there'll be knight f6, winning the queen. So this is terrible for black. You can't allow this. So that's probably one of the reasons why f5 was chosen here. Alright, let's just engine check this. Knight e5. Apparently, you know, he could play an exchange sack here, rook e5. Then knight e7 strong, apparently. Then just taking on c8. So say queen takes, then win back the exchange. And then finally, after all that, queen takes b7 and white would be significantly better. Okay, but I know opposite coloured bishops, but sometimes it favours, well, often it favours the person with the initiative, these opposite coloured bishops. So let's go back. After knight d5, black really damaged his own king safety with this move. Anyway, I mean, he was worse anyway. And apparently here, if you inspect this, okay, white has a dominating grip on the e file. We can say that, an entry point e7. It's unpleasant. an engine clinical move here is actually Queen F4. That's a good suggestion for the idea of sacking two exchanges, just to totally weaken the black king. For example, Knight E5, one exchange sack, and then another. So say both are taken. Here's an example. There's Bishop B2 ready to play. The Knight's doesn't have to move yet if C6 because of that Bishop B2, and this will be a disaster for black. This position, Bishop B2, black would have to give up material and just it's completely lost. So the double exchange sack really destroys the black king here after this clinical engine move Queen F4. But anyway, Nezhmetdinov, he played a very interesting move as well in this position, which turns out, okay, he might have played an inaccuracy later, but it turns out to be quite a crushing move in its own right. The same sort of elements in the position are celebrated with this different variation. That's something I've noticed from doing puzzles actually recently. Sometimes you can hit on the right idea, you hit on the right ingredient elements, but your implementation can be sometimes sharpened. Move orders, different sacrifices, but exposing the same fundamental weaknesses. Here the black king is a bit weak, and actually I wonder if you can guess Nezhmetdinov's solution to this position. What did he play if I give you 10 seconds starting from now? Okay, he played actually a knight sack. So queen takes c7, virtually forced. Queen d5 check. King is virtually forced to move because rook f7 will be a disaster here. Rook f7, I think it's rook e8. Let's just check this position. Some concrete here. It's actually not rook e8. It's rook e7 is the strongest. Rook e8 is also strong. But this is crushing because, you know, how does black defend f7 without losing the queen? We are on knight e5. So rook f7 is ruled out. So we agree this is like virtually forced king h8, rook e8, and black's options are very limited now. Okay. So in the game, Yuri played knight f6, and now another forcing move. Rook takes, so bishop takes. And now this very, very nasty pin on the diagonal. Okay, it can apparently be parried with bishop g7. Now here is the situation where there was a more clinical finish apparently available to white. Okay. Well, no, actually, Nezhmetdinov's move in this position is genius. The clinical move comes in a little bit. Pardon me. So in this position, with your queen attacked, what would you play here if I give you 10 seconds? So think about this position. It's a very nice move to carry on the attack. So you're trying to slice up the black king on these two diagonals. Amazing. And you're trying to like use the pinned elements for also the back row weakness. So this is a coordination of diagonals and the back row, these kind of tactics. So 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, bishop c4, incredible. So if knight takes, there's rook e8 mating, because the bishop's useless, it might as well not be there. That's mate. And the threat now is rook e8 check, knight takes, and then queen g8 mate. That's the threat if black does nothing. So Yuri played bishop d7, so he's contesting that e8 square. Disaster not quite yet. Now here's the inaccuracy that I spoke of. Nezhmetdinov played actually bishop takes f6. But there's an even stronger move apparently, just queen f7. And black is in real trouble here for various reasons. Say rook f8. I think there's going to be a tactical knockout blow here with, okay, yes, this is where engines excel. I wonder if you can spot this next move if I give you 10 seconds now in this variation. Okay, Rook E8. You may wonder what is going on here. If Bishop takes E8, you win the Queen. If Rook takes E8, then it's a mate in 6 where Bishop takes F6. These two diagonals are working against the Black Kings. You know, just cutting it off. It's absolutely crushing. So there's an immediate threat of Queen G7 mate. So Black can prolong the agony with this and then this D5 check. But after G3 you have to start sacrificing the Queen to escape the mate. If Bishop takes F6, then there's Queen F8 mate. Forget about Queen F6, it's Queen F8 mate. Okay, so let's go back to the game continuation. So it appears that Queen F7 in this position is really crushing, but Bishop takes F6 was played in the game, and we have some of the same elements being celebrated. So these two diagonals. So how does Black defend that Bishop and stop being mated tactically as well? Because here, if Bishop G7, I think actually simply Rook E7 would do the job here. Bishop moves Queen H7 mate, Rook G8, Queen G8 mate. Bishop moves actually just Queen G7 mate. So this is hopeless. So in the game, Queen D8 was played. But now, can you spot the finishing move? If I give me 10 seconds here. Okay. Okay, the winning final move was Rook E8. So Black's pieces are stumbling to defend key weaknesses here. If Bishop takes E8, then there's Queen F8 mate. If Queen takes E8, then there's Queen takes F6. You see both diagonals working against the Black King. So it was a bit of a crushing game from the old Spanish Berlin. So with this Bishop D3 and potential weaknesses emerging on these diagonals, it seems this game was quite crushing in the end. So Rook E3 keeps hold of that E file. The Bishop's doing a nice job actually preventing Knight F5 here, so making that Rook more of a permanent resident on that square. So Bishop G7 now B3. And Black's position here is just getting terrible. So this Bishop A3 move, it's not very pleasant, this domination of the E file already. The scene is set for something nasty. And after this further weakening move, it seems that was it. Nezhmetdinov had all the trump cards he needed here to destroy the opponent completely. With the prelude Knight takes C7, the check, Rook E8, enormous pressure now on the Black position. Taking on F8, the bishops start to occupy key diagonals, and here is the brilliant move which puts even more pressure on the light square diagonal, and G8 and the back row is evident to be quite weak. So Bishop C4, so Bishop D7 was played. Now Queen F7 looks absolutely crushing as well, but Bishop F6 was played, which might have given the opponent a chance. If he played the best move technically, it would have been Bishop G5, by the way. And here G3 to try and get the bishop off this F6 square. This sort of would be a forced sort of continuation for Black to end up with this situation, but it's still better for White, but not as much as Black survives for another day, a little bit longer, but it's still better. Okay, so in the game, playing a human, just a terrible human blunder, as we all play blunders. So Rook E8, and that's curtains. Comments or questions on YouTube? Thanks very much.